Welcome to a Gaming Memories video that focuses on recent memories, and this is a tradition I started last year when I looked at the 10 favourite games I played in 2023. Funnily enough, I've just watched that video again, or some of it, and noticed that I'm wearing exactly the same hoodie that I'm wearing right now, but it's a pure coincidence. Anyway, so what I'm going to be doing in this video, as you can probably guess, is looking at the top 10 retro games I played for the first time in 2024 and ranking them from 10th to 1st. So firstly, obviously you know I do lots of different videos on my channel. PC Engine, random games, compilation reviews for the Commodore 64, modern retro reviews for homebrew games and things like that. So lots of different games played over the year. And I actually did 56 videos last year and played 157 different games, which is slightly down on the year before, but not by much. But the main thing is that I played 120 new games for the first time, new retro games, so not new as in brand new, but new to me, which was more than 20 more than 2023. So obviously plenty to go through, plenty to think about, but I've picked out what I think are the 10 best games I played for the first time last year, and here they are, ranked from 10th to 1st, my top 10 retro games of 2024. Kicking off the list this time in 10th place is Final Match Tennis, a 1991 tennis game that was developed and published by Human Entertainment exclusively for the PC Engine in Japan only. I discovered this in episode 12 of my Let's Play 3 random PC Engine games series. The game's roster has 16 competitors based on real life tennis players, all with different strengths and weaknesses. Some players move faster than others, while some hit the ball with topspin and others hit the ball flat. There are 3 game modes: Exhibition, which is a single match, World Tour, which is a career mode, and Training. There's also the choice of 3 different court surfaces in the Exhibition and Training modes, each of which behaves differently. The game supports up to 4 players in any combination in singles and doubles matches through the use of a multi-tap. I do love a good tennis game, and this one really surprised me when I played it a few months ago. Despite being for a relatively primitive system, it's a really deep game, packed with options such as the different modes and court styles, varied player attributes and a huge variety of shots you can play despite only having 2 buttons. The graphics are really neat, the pace of the game is excellent and the controls are very responsive. It is however very hard to beat the computer controlled opponent, and I've actually yet to win a match, which is the main reason this sits at the bottom of the list. I have got closer the more I've played it though, as I've learned when and where to hit the ball, so I do feel like it is possible to win, even though there are occasions where the AI seems to be working against me. The singles mode is where the real craft of the game lies, but it also has an absolutely crazy doubles mode that is utter chaos, and I imagine this game is an absolute blast with 2 or more human players. It's one I'll definitely be putting on next time I have friends around. Coming in at number 9 is Task Force for the Commodore 64, released by Players Premier in 1989. This flick-screen shooter sees you piloting a state-of-the-art jet fighter through various caverns to stop the evil snide Gantry and his mercenaries, who've taken over a top-secret Air Force base. You'll encounter various enemies, gun emplacements and lasers used as gates, and if you touch any of these then you lose a life. Your plane is armed with various weapons, including a standard forward shot, unlimited 3-directional, vertical and laser fire, and you also have a limited supply of shields. Weapon and shield power-ups can be collected by shooting barrels. Each level consists of 20 screens, and at the end is a boss that needs destroying to move on to the next stage. This game came out at number 1 in my video that featured 10 budget games that were total rip-offs of more famous titles, and you'll win no prizes for guessing that this is a clone of Cybernoid. The setting appears to be on Earth rather than outer space, but the metallic sheen on the graphics, flick-screen environment, variety of weapons and mixture of respawning and static enemies are unmistakably stolen from Hewson's 1988 classic. Gameplay is a little slower and more strategic than Cybernoid, as some enemies need specific weapons to destroy them, so you have to choose the right firepower at the right time to make progress. Weapon supplies for all but the basic gun are limited, and there aren't many collectibles, so you have to be careful rather than just blasting away. The game is a little more accessible than Cybernoid to begin with, but is ultimately just as hard. You should be able to get a little further each time you play though, so it remains addictive. It's therefore not just a good clone, but also a very good game in its own right that would have been well worth the modest asking price. In 8th place is Catnapper for the BBC Micro. This was a typing game written by Graham Leng and published in the Micro User magazine in June 1985. I looked at this in episode 15 of my long-running BBC Micro type-in series. In this game, poor Fido the cat has fallen down a well. She is, however, a little reluctant to come out owing to the abundance of mice down there. You can only rescue her by going down on the bucket and collecting all the mice. Fido can climb the rope as well as jump over gaps. Both these things you're able to do yourself, but being a vaguely superstitious cat, she'll not go under ladders. When you reach each mouse, you must push up to extend a ladder to collect them. This has the secondary purpose of blocking off the movement of the cat, which is lethal to the touch, by the way. Once you've collected all the mice, you must make your way to the top of the well to complete the stage, but the cat's trying to do the same thing, and if it makes it first, you fail the level and must start again. As if all that wasn't difficult enough, there's also a time limit to contend with too. The graphics for this game are pretty simple, with solid blocks to create the layout of the well and single character sprites for the objects, player and cat, but there is some animation and both the cat and mice have a charming quality about the way they're implemented. Sound effects are similarly simple, but there are also short jingles between levels or when you have to restart after losing a life. The gameplay in this one is infuriatingly addictive, with clever design of the levels and the need for strategy to complete them. You have to place the ladders to stop the cat running into you and ensure that you get back to the top of the well first, so you need to work from the bottom up so that you're close to the top where you collect the last mouse. It's not an easy game as the controls are a little twitchy, which can sometimes lead to you mistiming entry into the well or moving over the rope instead of grabbing it, which can potentially cost you lives or time. The cat really seems to be a little bastard sometimes too, running into you just when you think you're safe or nipping up the rope to beat you to the end of the level. Cats do have that reputation though, don't they? I don't tend to find many typing games that are really worth shouting about, but for a basic listing at under 300 lines of code, this one stands out as being both original and fun to play despite its limitations. At number 7 is Cave Fighter for the Commodore 64, published by Bubble Bus in 1984. I played this for the first time when reviewing 6 computer hits in my Commodore 64 compilation comparison series. The aim of the game is to travel through as many of the 31 cave levels as possible. You have a time limit in which to finish each level, and you'll come across many different monsters which you have to dodge or shoot. You have the ability to jump 5 different heights, and pressing the fire button without moving the joystick will cause the jump power bar to increase. To make the man jump, release the fire button when the jump power bar is at the required strength. Pressing the fire button briefly will fire the player's weapon in the appropriate direction. Completing a level gives you bonus points and you then move on to the next one. As the levels increase, so will the difficulty of the caves, and different enemies will appear to try and halt your progress. The controls are hard to get to grips with initially, as holding down fire to jump and also to shoot takes some practice. Precision jumping is needed or you'll hit the ceiling or edges of platforms and lose a life, and judging the power of your jump is something you'll need to practice to get right. There is a good progression of difficulty as the first few stages are easy enough once you master the controls and give you plenty of chance to warm up. It then gets a lot harder from level 4 onwards as you have to get the power of the jump just right at times and also move while falling to get around some hazards. The random placement of enemies can sometimes make it a little unfair, and there is a timer to contend with too, so you can't hang about. Initially you might find the game frustrating, but it definitely gets easier the more you play and is quite well made if a little repetitive. I wasn't initially that impressed with Cave Fighter, but the more I played it, the more addictive it got. It's probably quite a well-known game for a lot of people, but for me this was a hidden gem that I was happy to discover last year. Coming in at 6th place is not just one game but a whole bunch, it's the Inufuto Games Collection. This is a selection of homebrewed games released from 2021 to date by Japanese coder Inufuto. They're a bit of a coding genius as they come up with a game development system and a compiler called Kate, which allows them to create neat little arcade style games and port them to tons of different 8-bit systems. When I say tons, I mean it, as the games have been released for everything from well-known computers like the Spectrum, BBC Micro, C64, Amstrad and MSX, to 8-bit consoles like the Sega Master System, ColecoVision and PC Engine, to obscure Japanese hardware such as the Sword M5, Gakken TV Boy and Hitachi Basic Master, and even to handheld consoles, pocket computers and Mahjong TV games. I covered some of these games in a couple of Modern Retro review videos last year, one focused on the BBC Micro versions and another looking at one of the games, Hotman, on 4 different systems. The full collection of games now numbers 18 and Inufuto continues to release new ones regularly, with a wide range of genres covered. The games are fairly primitive in terms of graphics and sound, and those attributes are often reused in different titles, but they do have some charm, and the games themselves are often neat twists on well-known classic arcade games such as Gallagher, Bosconian, Dig Dug and Space Panic. The quality of them does vary, and some struggle on lower spec hardware, but games such as Kakorm, Anti-Air, Neuras and Cracky all offer something original and are well worth playing. Inufuto has come up with a way of breathing new life into the games libraries of dozens of systems that previously had no homebrew games scene to speak of. For that reason, and the impressive technical achievements of the development system, this collection of games had to get a spot in my top 10. If you've not tried any of the games yet, they're all available as free downloads from Inufuto's website and can be previewed on their YouTube channel, so do check them out. At number 5 is Soldier Blade for the PC Engine, released by Hudson Soft in 1992. Possibly the most well-known game in this top 10, this vertically scrolling shooter is the 4th in the Star Soldier series. The player pilots the titular starship, which must complete each of the game's 7 stages in order to wipe out the Zeograd army, an alien race bent on conquering Earth. Nice original plotline there. The Soldier Blade begins the game with the standard Vulcan projectile, which can destroy most basic enemies with a single shot. You can pick up other weapons by collecting different coloured power capsules. These include a wave gun and a laser that wipes out anything in its path. Collecting a capsule will also cause a pod-like craft to join the player, which provides additional firepower. By collecting up to 3 power capsules, the player can take up to 3 hits. The power-up items are held in a storage box shown at the bottom of the screen and can be deployed at any time as smart bombs, which wipe out all visible enemies. A mini-boss will need to be fought towards the middle of the stage, followed by the main boss at the end. I played this for the first time in episode 9 of my Let's Play 3 Random PC Engine Games series, and it was one of the best new to me PC Engine games I've played up to that point. The graphics are great, albeit pretty standard space shooter fare, but there are some huge bosses, plenty of bullets flying around, smooth scrolling and no slowdown that I noted. There's also a great soundtrack to accompany the action. The thing that I really liked though was that it has quite an accessible difficulty level, with a small hitbox on your ship and plenty of pickups being dropped by the enemies to allow you to deal out some serious firepower. The stacking of those power-ups is a nice touch, allowing you to mix and match the 3 weapon types, and the ability to deploy one as a smart bomb is also a neat idea. As with all of the PC Engine games in the Star Soldier series, you have the ability to alter the speed of your ship, and there are also the trademark 2 and 5 minute caravan modes to give plenty of option. Another neat touch is being able to change the screen mode to arcade style, making it more closely resemble a vertically orientated monitor on a horizontal screen. Soldier Blade may just be one of many vertically scrolling space shooters on the system, but it's highly polished and is rightly regarded as one of the best on offer for NEC's compact console. At number 4 is Run and Gun, a Commodore 64 game developed by Carlton Handley and Saul Cross in 2021, which was later picked up for publishing by Thalamus Digital. I played this in a Modern Retro review video back in September, and it ended up being one of the most stressful gaming sessions I've ever recorded, for reasons I'll go into later. Willie Run and Wally Gunn were 2 run-of-the-mill soldiers until an army experiment went seriously wrong and fused their bodies into a super soldier. The military covered up the accident by drafting the pair into an elite squad of the best soldiers on the planet. They're sent on missions to the far reaches of the galaxy to quell alien threats before they can reach Earth. You must take control of both run and gun in their next mission on the planet Bantarya, where a terrible lifeform is planning an assault on our home planet. You control just one character but can switch between them at will. Run is capable of jumping higher and further than Gun, but Gun has stronger firepower. You must negotiate the planet and its many hazards using the best man for the situation as it develops. This homebrew game from just a 2-man team is really impressive and could easily have been a full price release if it had come out back in the day. The presentation is superb with an excellent title screen that gives an overview of the gameplay, characters and game objects, as well as several options including the all-important choice of control method. The options are either to use up to jump and the fire button to shoot, or if you prefer you can switch those around. There are pros and cons to both, but ultimately I found it too hard to get my head around the idea of pushing up to shoot. Once you get into the game, you're treated to some great graphics and animation, a mixture of smooth scrolling and single screen areas, and both sound effects and music at the same time. The controls are really tight, and they need to be because the game is pretty tough, requiring fast reactions and a lot of precise platforming, including double jumps at times. It all came to a head for me with the introduction of an enemy called Aluminium, a cute looking but indestructible robot that chases you incessantly across the screen, forcing you to negotiate platforms quickly and accurately. If you've not watched my original review of the game, take a look and I'm sure you'll be amused by how stressed I get. Despite that, I think this is a superb game that is well worth checking out for the modest asking price, and it ended up being my favourite of all the C64 homebrew games I played in 2024. It's that time again where I say thank you to all my channel members, whose names you can see here in my Supporters Hall of Fame. If you're enjoying this video and would like to join these fine folks and support my efforts, why not become a member yourself? For a monthly fee starting from just 99p, you can get access to the special membership perks shown on screen, and more besides. If you're interested, then please click on the join button below this video for more information. If you're not able to commit to a monthly contribution but would still like to support my channel, then you could also give a super thanks. This one-off donation gives you a highlighted comment on whichever video you choose to click the button on, and anyone doing this will also get a shout out from me on a subsequent video. The super thanks button can be found below every video I produce. You can also help raise the profile of this channel by liking this video and leaving a comment, which helps improve my ranking in the mysterious YouTube algorithm. Any support you can give, financial or otherwise, is greatly appreciated. Moving into my top 3 now then, and in third place is Mini Planets. This is a pseudo 3D platformer for the Sega Mega Drive that was released by a coder known as Sick in 2016 and was later produced as a physical cartridge by Play On Retro in May 2017. Physical versions are still available, but the ROM can also be downloaded for free. I played it in my Modern Retro review series in October. The game's protagonist is Keisha, the protector of a planetary system consisting of 5 Planelegos of 9 mini-planets each. Each of these was guarded by one of Keisha's sons, but one day a mysterious force appeared and turned them into statues. Keisha must therefore traverse all the Planelegos to save the children and return the evil force to where it belongs. The most striking thing about this game is the 3D spherical plane area, which rotates pretty smoothly. This must have taken some doing on the Mega Drive and shows some impressive technical ability by the programmer. The graphics are colourful and nicely drawn, with a cute player sprite that is reminiscent of Opa Opa from Sega's own Fantasy Zone series. There's also some nice sound effects and background tunes that are catchy if a little short. The game design is well done too, with new game mechanics and obstacles added slowly as you go through the stages, making it easy to learn but gradually harder to master. There are puzzle and platforming elements, all made that little bit more challenging by the mind-bending perspective, as you eventually have to jump around the surface of the sphere to achieve some goals. Presentation is also great, with an attractive title screen, plenty of game options and a password system that allows you to skip the earlier planets when you've conquered them. This all adds up to a really solid homebrew game that has an original concept, appealing visuals and good design. Considering it's available completely free, if you're a Mega Drive fan, there's no reason not to check it out right now. Number 2 is Battle Through Time, a Commodore 64 game released by Analog Software in 1984. This is the second game in my top 10 that I discovered when looking at 6 computer hits in my Commodore 64 compilation comparison series. If the other 4 games had been of the quality of this and Cave Fighter, that collection may currently be sitting at the top of my compilation league table. Alas, they were not. In the year 2525 AD, time travel is finally perfected, and you're tasked with travelling through time to assist mankind in his various battles. There are 7 stages to be completed, and in each one you're given a certain amount of time to travel the required 10 miles to the teleportation point. You control an all-terrain plasma track vehicle, and on the way to your destination you must dispatch as many enemies as possible. This is an interesting mashup of 2 great arcade games from 1982, taking the plot of Konami's Time Pilot and applying it to the gameplay of IREM's Moon Patrol. The graphics are relatively primitive but nicely implemented, with some smooth parallax scrolling and good animation, most notably when your Jeep is destroyed and its driver is thrown out and the wheel comes off. The sound effects are decent too for this era, and each level has its own tune to fit the time period. For example, on the World War II stage you get the Runaway Train, which was a bit odd, but the theme from the TV show MASH on the Korean War stage, and the Imperial March from Star Wars on the World War III one were genius. This is a very tough game to begin with, but if you persist with it then eventually the strategy clicks. You have to move back and forth across the landscape avoiding the bombs while trying to shoot the enemies, and also watch out for ground hazards. Everything you hit with your shot scores points, and it's clever that you get more points for the harder to hit items like the missiles fired by the enemy planes. The time limit is also a factor, and you'll need to go as fast as possible when you can in order to make it to the end of the stage, where you then warp to the next time period. This is an excellent twist on Moon Patrol, which is addictive and rewarding, with new things to see on each stage. If you've never played it before, I definitely recommend checking it out. Finally, first place in my top 10 retro games played for the first time in 2024 is Puzzle Boy on the PC Engine, which was published by Telenet Japan in 1991. Like Soldier Blade, I also played this in episode 9 of Let's Play 3 random PC Engine games, and with the third game in that episode being Bomberman, there's not much argument that it was the best random selection I'd had so far in that series. Puzzle Boy is a port of a Game Boy title known as Quirk in the West, but features more and different levels along with changed graphics. Obviously this is a puzzle game in which you play the role of a potato that has to reach the exit of numerous levels in order to rescue his tomato girlfriend. Yeah, I know, only in Japan. The path to the exit is blocked by a combination of boxes, holes and revolving doors. Boxes can be pushed aside or into holes to make them traversable, and there are different types of spinning doors. The game features 3 playing modes, most notably the level mode, which features 100 levels to solve. There's also a challenge mode where you must solve 10 levels in a limited amount of time, and a split screen multiplayer mode too. Over the years creating content for my channel, I've slowly come to realise that I really love puzzle games. Maybe it's an age thing, as I probably didn't spend much time on them when I was young, but now I'm getting older I find them highly addictive. Puzzle Boy definitely fits the bill, as when I revisited it in preparation for this video, I found myself spending ages trying to solve each level, capturing way more footage than I actually needed. As with most games of this ilk, the graphics and sound are very simple, though there are some catchy tunes in this one. Being a Japan only release, the menus are hard to navigate, but there's loads of content in the game with the 3 different modes. While the main story mode is the meat of the game, with some seriously taxing single screen levels, for me it's the second option on the main menu that opens up the most engaging part of the game. The challenge mode, with its series of interconnected rooms and a time limit to complete them in, is just superb. Some of the levels are absolutely infuriating, until you crack them of course, and the one bugbear with the game is that you can't undo your last move, so any mistake means you have to reset the screen. Oddly, the undo feature was present in the Game Boy version, so I'm not sure why it was omitted here. That aside, this is a really enjoyable puzzle game that will keep you invested for hours, and for me it was worth playing all those crappy randomly selected PC Engine games to eventually come across a gem like this. So there you have it, the 10 best retro games I played for the first time in 2024. I hope you found this list interesting, and if you've been inspired to check out any of these games for the first time yourself, then let me know in the comments which ones take your fancy and how you get on with them when you play them. If you want to see my in-depth reviews of these games, then check out the pinned comment for links to my original videos that featured them. There are also links to all the homebrew games I've mentioned, so be sure to download them and support the developers if you're interested. If you enjoyed this video then please give it a like, and if you're not subscribed to my channel already then please do so to ensure you don't miss any of my retro gaming content throughout 2025. You can also support the channel by becoming a member, with membership tiers starting from just 99p a month. Please click on the join button below this video if you're interested for more information on the perks available. That's all for this time, so thanks very much for watching, and until the next video, see ya!